Have you ever cared so deeply for someone who barely noticed you existed? You give your time, your energy, your heart, and in return, you get silence, distance, or indifference. You replay every interaction, wondering what you did wrong. You tell yourself to stop caring, but somehow you just can't. It's like your mind is addicted to the idea of being seen by the one person who doesn't see you at all. And that, right there, is the quiet heartbreak so many of us carry. Not from being rejected, but from caring too much for people who don't care back. Here's the truth. Letting go isn't about forgetting someone. It's about reclaiming yourself from the person who never valued you the way you deserved. Psychologists say we struggle to let go not because we're weak, but because the brain is wired for attachment. When you emotionally invest in someone, your mind releases oxytocin, the same chemical that bonds a mother to her child. It's not just affection, it's biology. That's why even when someone hurts you, a part of you still wants them. But here's where it gets darker. When that connection isn't returned, your brain treats it like withdrawal. You crave their attention, their message, their approval, like a drug. And that's why letting go feels like tearing your soul apart. Because chemically, it kind of is. The problem is, we chase closure from people who were never emotionally capable of giving it. We keep hoping they'll suddenly see our worth, that one day they'll realize what they lost. But the hard truth is, they won't. Not because you weren't enough, but because they were never capable of valuing enough in the first place. And the more you chase that validation, the more you hand over your power. Psychologist Dr. Jonas Webb calls it emotional neglect addiction. It's when your mind keeps revisiting people who emotionally starved you because it's trying to rewrite the story. You want a different ending. You want to be chosen this time. But every time you go back, you're just reopening the same wound. Letting go is not a single moment. It's a process, a decision you have to make again and again until your heart finally gets the message your mind already knows. So let's talk about the psychology behind it and how you can finally stop caring about people who don't care. First, understand this. Caring deeply is not a flaw. It's empathy. It's what makes you human. But empathy without boundaries becomes self-destruction. The moment you start chasing people who don't reciprocate, your brain enters a loop called rejection rumination. You overthink, overanalyze, and replay everything, not because you miss them, but because your brain is trying to find logic in something emotional. And the truth is, there's no logic in emotional neglect. When someone doesn't care, it's not about you being unlovable. It's about them being emotionally unavailable. You can't teach someone how to value your heart if they've never learned how to feel their own. Here's something powerful to remember. People who truly care don't make you question whether they do. But why do we hold on anyway? Because your mind attaches care to identity. You start believing that letting go means losing part of yourself. You think, if I stop caring, I'm cold. You think, if I walk away, I'm giving up. But you're not giving up. You're growing up. You're realizing that peace matters more than approval. The moment you stop chasing people is the moment you start attracting better ones. There's a study from Stanford University that found emotional detachment activates the same regions of the brain associated with strength and focus. It's not about becoming heartless. It's about protecting your energy. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring entirely. It means you care differently. You stop caring about being understood and start caring about being at peace. You stop caring about what they think and start caring about what you feel when you're around them. Because love should feel like freedom, not confusion. Here's the part most people miss. You don't heal by erasing memories. You heal by changing meaning. When you think of them and it still hurts, remind yourself, that pain is not proof of love. It's proof of growth. You're evolving past something your old self thought was love. You can't force people to care, but you can control how long you keep letting their indifference define your worth. Every time you check if they've texted, you delay your healing. Every time you stalk their social media, you feed the wound. Every time you replay what happened, you give your peace away. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And that's your goal. Not to hate them, not to get even, but to reach a point where their name doesn't trigger you anymore. That's real freedom, emotional neutrality. When you reach that point, you realize the people who couldn't care for you were never meant to stay. They were meant to teach you boundaries, self-respect, and the difference between attachment and love. Here's something to sit with. Love doesn't hurt, attachment does. Love allows, attachment controls. Love gives, attachment clings. Love lets go, attachment fears a loss. And that's why learning to let go is not the end of something. It's the beginning of emotional maturity. Psychologist Dr. Nicole LePera says, letting go isn't losing, it's choosing peace over pain. That's it. That's the entire shift you need. When you stop caring about people who don't care, you're not being cruel. You're being wise. Because your energy is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. Sometimes the best apology is silence. The best closure is peace. And the best revenge is healing. You can't control who values you, but you can control who gets to occupy your mind. So start with this. Every time you think of them, say, I release you. Say it softly, say it often, until it starts to feel true. Because the moment you release them, you make space for yourself, for your peace, for your growth, for your life. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you no longer care who didn't care. You just feel free. That's not weakness. That's self-respect. That's the psychology of letting go.